of our Divine Mother from the All India Magazine, August edition of 2015. Topic: the hand that heals. Our Divine Mother says there are two ways. There's a subnote about the two ways. Our Divine Mother says in other cases, if the body lacks receptivity altogether, or if its receptivity is insufficient, one sees the inner correspondence with the psychological state which has brought about illness and acts on that. So our Divine Mother says there are two ways of curing an illness spiritually. One consists in putting a force of consciousness and truth on the physical spot which is affected. In this case, the effect produced depends naturally on the receptivity of the person. Suppose the person is receptive, the force of consciousness is put upon the affected part and its pressure restores order. Many of you here can tell how Sri Aurobindo cured them. It was like a hand which came and took away the pain. It was as clear as that, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, the clocks doing mischief. Our Divine Mother says, the other story is of the days when our Lord Sri Aurobindo had the habit of walking up and down in his rooms. He used to walk for several hours like that. It was his way of meditating. Only he wanted to know the time. So a clock had been put in each room to enable him to see the time at any moment. There were 3 such clocks. One was in the room where I worked. It was, so to say, his starting point. One day he came and asked, "What time is it?" He looked and the clocks had stopped. He went into the next room saying, "I shall see the time there." That clock had stopped too, and it stopped at the same minute as the other. You understand? With the difference of few seconds. He went to the third room and the clock there had stopped too. Our Divine Mother says, our Lord Sri Aurobindo continued walking 3 times like that. All the clocks had stopped. Then he returned to my room and said, "But this is impossible. This is a bad joke." And then all the clocks, one after the other, started working again. Next subtopic, cruelty was something more repugnant to Sri Aurobindo. Our Divine Mother says cruelty was one of the things that was most repugnant to Lord Sri Aurobindo, but he always said that it was the distortion of an intensity, one could almost say the distortion of an intensity of love, something which is not satisfied with a middle course which wants extremes, and that is justiciable. I had always known that cruelty, like sadism, is a need for violent, extremely strong sensation to penetrate a thick layer of tamas that feels nothing. Tamas needs something extreme in order to be able to feel. Next subtopic, miracles in the mind. Our Divine Mother says, as for Sri Aurobindo, I only know what he told me several times. People give the name miracle only to interventions in the material or the vital world, and these interventions are always mixed with ignorant and arbitrary moments. But the number of miracles that Sri Aurobindo performed in the mind is incalculable. But naturally, you could only see if you had a very straight, very sincere, very pure vision. A few people did see it, but he refused. This is, I know, he refused to perform any vital or material miracles because of this mixture. Our Divine Mother says, my experience is that in the present state of the world, a direct miracle, material or vital, must necessarily take into account a great many elements of falsehood that are unacceptable. They are necessarily miracles of falsehood. What men call miracles nowadays are almost always performed by vital beings or by men who are in contact with the vital beings. And this is a mixture. It accepts the reality of certain things, the truth of certain things that are not true, and this is the basis on which it works. So it is unacceptable, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, divine renunciation. Our Divine Mother says, one day I went as usual to relate to Sri Aurobindo what had been happening. We had come to something really very interesting, and perhaps I showed a little enthusiasm in my account of what had taken place. Then Sri Aurobindo looked at me and said, Yes, this is an overmind creation. It is very interesting, very well done. You will perform miracles which will make you famous throughout the world. You will be able to turn all the events topsy-turvy indeed. And then he smiled and said, it will be a great success. But it is an overmind creation. It is not that success that we want. We want to establish the supermind on earth. And then one must know how to renounce immediate success in order to create the new world, the supramental world in its integrality, said Sri Aurobindo. With my inner consciousness, says our Divine Mother, with my inner consciousness, I understood immediately. A few hours later, the creation was gone. And from that moment, we started anew on the other basis. The Mother on Savitri. Our Divine Mother says these are the experiences lived by him, reality, supracosmic truth. He experienced all these as one experiences joy, sorrow, physically. He walked in the darkness of inconscience, even in the neighborhood of death, endured the sufferings of perdition, and emerged from the mud, the world misery, to breathe the sovereign plenitude and enter the supreme Ananda. He crossed all the realms, went through the consequences, suffered and endured physically what one cannot imagine. Nobody till today had suffered like him. He accepted suffering to transform suffering into the joy of union with the Supreme. It is something unique and incomparable in the history of the world. It is something that has never happened. He is the first to have traced the path in the unknown so that we may be able to walk with certitude towards the supermind. He has made the work easy for us. Savitri is his whole yoga of transformation, and this yoga appears now for the first time in the Earth Consciousness by Mona Sarkar. Next subtopic, Sri Aurobindo's gift of silence. A Divine Mother says, I have seen many cases in which Sri Aurobindo had given silence to somebody, had made his mind silent, and that person came back to him in a kind of despair saying, but I have become stupid, for his thought was no longer excited. Men want freedom, but they are in love with their chains, and when one wants to take them away, when one wants to show them the path of true liberation, they are afraid, and often they protest, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, the subtle physical hand. Our Divine Mother says, I have seen Sri Aurobindo doing this in somebody's head. Somebody who used to complain of being troubled by thoughts. It was as if his hand reached out, took hold of the little black dancing point, and then this, and then our Divine Mother gives a gesture with the fingertips as one picks up an insect and threw it far away. And that was all still, quiet, luminous. It was clearly visible like this, He took it out without saying anything, and it was over. And things are very closely interdependent. I also saw the case when someone came to him with an acute pain somewhere. Oh, it hurts here. Oh, it hurts here. Oh, he said nothing. He remained calm. Our Lord remained calm. He looked at the person and said, and I saw something like a subtle physical hand which came and took hold of the little point dancing about in disorder, confusion, and he took it up like this, same gesture, and there everything had gone. Oh, look, my pain has gone. Next subtopic, turning a prison into God's meeting ground. Sri Aurobindo has said in Thoughts and Aphorisms, when I was asleep in the ignorance, I came to a place of meditation full of holy men, and I found their company wearisome, the place a prison. When I woke, God took me to a prison and turned it into a place of meditation and his trysting ground. And then our Divine Mother says, Sri Aurobindo is referring here to his experience in Alipur jail. But what is interesting in this aphorism is the contrast he points out between the material prison where only his body was confined, while his spirit, unfettered by social conventions and prejudice, free from all preconceived ideas and all doctrinaire limitations, had a direct and conscious contact with the divine, and a first revelation of the integral yoga, and on the other hand, the mental prison of narrow rules which excludes life and within which people often confine themselves when they renounce ordinary existence in order to devote themselves to a spiritual life based on traditional dogmatic ideas, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, the supramental oneness. This is in a conversation with a disciple. Sweet mother, you know that well-known experience when our Lord Sri Aurobindo saw Narayana in the prisoners, Narayana in the guards, Narayana everywhere? Our Divine Mother says that's a supreme oneness. Question, sweet mother, is it a supramental experience? Or our Divine Mother says it is supramental. Yes, the supramental experience, he called it Narayana. It's supramental, not overmental. For this, our Divine Mother says, no, it's like the message of the Gita as Sri Aurobindo explained it, not overmental but supramental. It is oneness, the experience of oneness, says our Divine Mother. This was in conversation with a disciple on 26 September 1962. These are the words of our Divine Mother.